You know what? Contrary to popular belief, the New York Jets really only have two opponents this season that they have to beat in order for us to see what they're really about. Which two opponents you're wondering? Okay, let's talk about it.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance. You know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance. You know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Congratulations, brother. Hey, yeah.
And here we go. Okay, so you're probably wondering, like, all right, which two opponents should we got to beat in order for us to really justify like what our season looked like? Listen, this was not clickbait. I wasn't trying to clickbait you because I really believe, like, when you really look at the greater scheme of things, the New York Jets have done such an incredible job at building thus far that on paper, everything looks good. Zach Wilson does have all the tools he needs to go ahead and be a really, really big success. Right? Like this, I do believe the guy has the talent. I do believe he has the work ethic. I want to say he has the IQ, right? But you don't know until bullets start flying, just what you're made of. In this case, once NFL games start happening and defenses start flying towards his way. So, with that said, ultimately, yes, Zach Wilson definitely by far, 100% agreed, has to go ahead and get his mind right. But it ties into my whole point, right? Two biggest opponents the New York Jets have to face this year for us to truly know what the Jets are about. First one is injury. The New York Jets versus injury, we have taken a beating over the last several years. Several years. In fact, listen to this. So, per Football Outsiders, the New York Jets finished as the 29th most injured team in the NFL in 2020. Only the Philadelphia Eagles, New England Patriots, and San Francisco 49ers suffered more adjusted games lost via injury in COVID 19, right? But we know for us it goes further back than that. But that's just talking about recent history. Let's talk about last year. Who didn't get hurt last year? Major components of the roster took L's, whether it's the defensive line, when we lost Carl Lawson, offensive line, when we lost Mekhi Becton, wide receiver room, when Corey Davis went down, then eventually Elijah Moore went down. We had, and at one point, we had guys like Jeff Smith out there playing, Denzel Mims, who didn't know the offense, and it showed drastically when we threw him out there, and he was just confused. Braxton Berrios was our number one, and again, I love Braxton Berrios a lot, but he's not a wide receiver one. He's a playmaker. I get that all day, but even Zach Wilson was hurt last year. At one point, Mike White got hurt. Like, the injury aspect has been a killer for the New York Jets for years now. So in order for us to really know what we have in this roster, legitimately, like everything on paper looks great, and we're all really excited about, you know what, boom, on paper the New York Jets look phenomenal. We won't know what we're capable of unless everybody stays on the field. And it's football, and I get it. I'm not expecting there to be no injuries, some ankle sprains here, maybe a concussion there. Like, it's going to happen. This is football, right? It's going the right direction to make sure it's as safe as possible. We know that. But these are grown men at big weights, moving fast, elite athletes right into each other. Like, there's no way injuries are not going to happen. But not to the extent that we've experienced them and suffered them. At one point last year, the New York Jets led the league in how many injured players were like salary cap proportion. So in terms of like who was playing, who were actually paying that last year per the salary cap. I gotta find that article and hopefully I find it and I can post it somewhere up here. But the New York Jets led the league in terms of a disproportionate amount of our salary cap like number going towards injured players. So they weren't playing. They couldn't play because they were hurt. They were hurt, and that showed. It showed with the kind of guys we had out there that we threw out there with Zach. Right, we threw out there trying to run a complex offense, a defense that depends heavily on the defensive line. We lost several pieces across the defensive line to include Vinny Curry with, a medical issue that was, before that a non-factor or weren't aware of. Like, we lost playmakers. We lost playmakers across the board. So, in order for us to see what the New York Jets have truly in their arsenal this year, like what they're really capable of, the first opponent is going to be injury. We've got to win against injury. We can't keep allowing injury to go ahead and take us out of the game and limit us. That's what we can do in terms of personnel, the offensive scheme, defense scheme, whatever. We can't keep letting injury beat us in games, because that's happened quite a bit for us. Second opponent, well, consistency. Like, again, it kind of ties in together, because without consistency, we get varied amounts of excitement of what's going on. We saw Zach Wilson do some incredible things some games, and then last year do some things you were like, why? Like, the consistency aspect is also important, but it ties into the injury piece, because again, if individuals are healthy and they're staying on the field, that means they're getting those reps. They can go ahead and build rapport, and everything remains consistently smooth, right? So, like, last year towards the back end, we saw Zach Wilson playing with a lot of the second and third string guys, right? And ultimately, they were consistent. They were on the field with him. So he was able to consistently show us what he's capable of when he had time and experience with those guys. So imagine if he had time and experience with our playmakers. If we could consistently keep them healthy so they can consistently be on the field, we can get a consistent rating of what we have as a team. And if it's any indication with what Zach Wilson did towards the back half of the season last year, that level of consistency can put us in a situation to where we are definitely playing valuable games in December. It wouldn't shock me at all if we got a wild card spot in terms of a playoff spot this year. Everybody thinks I'm crazy when I say that, but when you look at the talent that is on this roster, I think Jake Asman said it best. If you took away the New York Jets branding, just rip that off, right? And you just put this roster up in terms of their grades in college, what rounds they were selected, how they've done thus far in the NFL, how they could have done if not for injury thus far in the NFL. You're looking at, I'm going to say top 15. I want to say top 10, but I'm going to say top 15 roster. This is the top half of the NFL roster. Joe Douglas has put together a really, really good roster for us. And I do believe Coach Saleh is the kind of leader we need in the locker room to go ahead and put it all together. He's got the offensive coach, the defensive coordinator he believes in, which we're still waiting to see. Ulbrich, I haven't made a decision yet, just because I know we were very, very limited in terms of talent to run that defensive scheme last year. So I get it, but hey, look, Joe believes in this coaching staff. I believe in Joe. I do like Robert Saleh. I believe in Robert. So ultimately, we love what they've done with the roster this year, so we believe in the roster as well. Our biggest opponents this year, injury, consistency. We beat those two things, and I don't think we're a laughing stock this year. I don't think we're I know right now there's an ESPN prediction that came out that says we're going to have the number 1 overall pick. First of all, there's no freaking way that's going to happen. There's absolutely no way that's going to happen. Jets have the 24th ranked offense or roster in the NFL that came out as well. So I don't know how that works in terms of ESPN saying both things at the same time. We're going to have the number 1 pick, but we also have a 24th ranked offense when last year it was, I think, in the 30s. So it improved. And we already know that we actually finished pretty darn bad this year, right? So there's already an improvement just purely based off of the people we have in the room. So wins are coming. Wins have to come. But again, it only works if those people we have in those rooms are actually on the field, because they're not hurt and they're consistently getting time with Zach Wilson. So for me, the two biggest opponents we have to beat this year, injury, consistency. We do that, man, it's just going to be really, really, really scary. But it's all for me today, man. So yeah, till next time. Don't forget, looks like I'm going to be keeping the Elijah Moore helmet, but Keyshawn Johnson one is very much in play. Only like 20 of you right now are in that pot to get it. So whoever gets it, Carlson. I'm sorry, Carl Lawson. With the injury bug, well,